What if I told you that you are condemned to live this same life exactly as it is, repeatedly, and for all eternity? Every choice, every word, every thought, all repeating infinitely without the slightest alteration. Terrifying, isn't it? While most people live as if their decisions were temporary, the true masters of existence know a truth that few have the courage to face. Our choices carry the weight of eternity. Nietzsche's idea of eternal return isn't just another dusty philosophical concept, it's an existential atomic bomb that, once understood, completely destroys the comfortable mediocrity in which most choose to live. You've probably felt it, that deep uneasiness when realizing you're wasting your life on choices you couldn't bear to repeat even a second time, let alone eternally. And the most shocking part, as you read these words, your decisions are already shaping a cycle that could become your personal paradise or hell. In the gay science, Nietzsche presents this idea through a demon who appears in the loneliest hour of the night. What if someday or night a demon were to steal into your loneliest loneliness and say to you, "This life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once again and innumerable times again, and there will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy and every thought and sigh and everything unspeakably small or great in your life must return to you, all in the same succession and sequence." The philosopher then asks, would this utterly crush you, or would you answer the demon, "You are a god, and never have I heard anything more divine"? This is the question that traverses centuries and reaches us like lightning illuminating all of existence. This is exactly what the thought of eternal return invites us to consider, not as a literal cosmological theory, but as a transformative thought experiment. When someone encounters this idea for the first time, they usually feel an enormous weight on their shoulders, as if suddenly each decision, no matter how small, takes on an unexpected cosmic dimension. At its core, what Nietzsche proposes is a powerful tool for self-evaluation that brings us face to face with our own choices. Think about that moment when you chose the easier path instead of the more meaningful one. Now imagine reliving that same choice repeatedly for all eternity. Gives you chills, doesn't it? This perspective forces us to confront not just what we do, but who we truly are when no one is watching. The beauty of this concept lies in how it transforms the weight of existence into something we can embrace with enthusiasm, rather than carry as a burden. It's not about living in fear of making mistakes, but about living so authentically that the idea of repeating each moment becomes not a terror, but a joyful affirmation of life. It's like that feeling when you finish an extraordinary book and immediately want to reread it. That's how each day, each choice, each moment of your existence should be. In the rush of daily life, we rarely stop to consider the impact our small decisions have in shaping who we are. That hurried breakfast, the conversation avoided with a colleague, the message left unanswered. All this seems insignificant until we apply the lens of eternal return. What if each of these seemingly trivial choices were part of an infinite cycle that you would have to relive eternally? Suddenly, even deciding between responding with kindness or rudeness to a stranger takes on a completely new dimension. The magic happens when we begin to use this concept as a moral compass for our daily actions. Before making a decision, try asking yourself, am I willing to repeat this choice infinitely? Many great contemporary philosophers such as Alain de Botton in The Consolations of Philosophy, show how this simple mental exercise can completely transform our relationship with work, relationships, and even the time we spend on social media. It's like having an internal mentor constantly challenging us to live with greater purpose. The true power of this idea lies in how it liberates us from passivity and places us at the center of our own existence. When someone begins to live as if each moment could eternally return, priorities naturally adjust. That hour wasted on empty online content begins to weigh more heavily on the conscience, while time devoted to meaningful conversations, learning, or simply appreciating a sunset gains invaluable worth. It's a subtle transformation but profoundly revolutionary. The real revolution of eternal return isn't in its comfort but in its brutal challenge to our complacency. When this idea strikes someone with its full force, it's like lightning illuminating all the obscure corners of existence at once. There's nowhere left to hide from yourself. Each act of cowardice, each abandoned commitment, each wasted moment now carries the weight of eternity, not as punishment, but as a revelation of the naked truth about who we really are. What Nietzsche proposes isn't a path to happiness, but to greatness. And there's an abyss between these concepts. Thinkers like Emile Cioran and Schopenhauer already pointed out that facing existence in its totality requires an almost superhuman courage. That's why few truly embrace eternal return in its fullness. Most prefer the comfortable lie that their choices are temporary, that tomorrow they can be different, that time will erase their tracks. But what if nothing ever disappeared? What if each second were eternal? The most disturbing and simultaneously liberating aspect of this philosophy is how it dissolves the illusion of later. There is no "I'll start living authentically tomorrow." There is only this moment, which may repeat infinitely. Nietzsche offers no consolation, but an existential challenge to live in such a way that the thought of eternal repetition becomes an ecstatic affirmation rather than a nightmare. It's a philosophy for free and courageous spirits, not for those seeking tranquility. It's a call to create a life so extraordinary that you would wish to relive it exactly as it was, with all its pain, contradiction, and intensity. The concept of eternal return isn't just a philosophical curiosity. It's a mirror that forces us to look honestly at our choices. When Nietzsche proposed this idea, he wasn't offering a cosmological theory, but a tool for examining the quality of our daily decisions. What would change in your life if you applied this filter to your choices today? Perhaps the value of this philosophy lies precisely in its practical simplicity. Before acting, ask yourself, would I be willing to repeat this choice infinitely? This question, applied to work, relationships, or the use of time, has a surprising power to clarify what truly matters. It's not about seeking perfection, but about living with greater awareness and authenticity. If this topic has sparked your curiosity, continue exploring with us. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming discussions. Leave in the comments, what recent decision would you make differently if you thought about the eternal return? Your perspective might inspire others to reflect as well. Until our next meeting.